Hey, can you guys hear me? Am I online again? I had to stop the stream to save it. You can hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, if you get towards 5 hours, live stream deletes everything after the 5 hour mark if you go on demand. So I was at 4 minutes, 4 hours and 57 minutes, I think. Really close to getting it all deleted, so. Back now with Sam Carr, and we are rendering. Defenders of the Earth. Defenders.
Yeah,
Stop.
when I saw this challenge, I remembered I just used to keep the boxes, toys, because I liked the art.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the challenge, I was like, oh my god! Just looked at them all.
I know.
So good.
It's something that
It's like the biggest nostalgia trip ever.
it's the job that every kid wants, and then you forget you want it as you get older.
Yeah, exactly. This would be my dream job, like when I was a kid, and then I just didn't even realize it existed.
Yeah, when you're a kid, that's the job you want. Got myself some water. It's delicious.
Tasty, tasty water.
Delicious, flavorless water. Tastes like coffee because drank tons of coffee. Dan, have you ever tried making maquettes for your paintings? Only once, and the only reason I don't is because I'm lazy. I just haven't done it yet. I'm gonna do it soon. I just have to get clay. I just got out of school like 7 months ago, and I tried doing it once in school, and I couldn't find the time to do it. But now that I'm out of school, I really want to get into doing it. I've seen the improvement it's made in Dave's work, and it's like one of those basic things that, like James Gurney does it, and you read his book, and you're like, well, why don't I do it? It's so simple.
I just want to talk like the voices from those theme tunes now, just with like elongated syllables everywhere.
I know.
Danny, yo, more red.
It's so terrible. It's so terrible. Prudential BS on my live stream. I'm not in charge of the ads, man. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I don't think AdBlock stops the ads from playing on livestream. I think livestream has those embedded in it as a system to pay for being free. I don't think AdBlock's going to stop ads loading before livestream. Maybe it does. I don't know. It just sounds like it wouldn't. Weird. Yeah, I don't like talking about this kind of stuff on here because it's lame, but I will say in passing, because people keep bringing it up in the chat, that I am wondering if that SOPA thing's gonna pass. And if it does, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. At
Weird.
first I was like, oh, I don't give a shit, but it actually seems to
Yeah.
be appearing everywhere I look now.
Yeah, I didn't care at first, and now it's everywhere. Like, I went on
It's like
Google.
hard not to be annoyed by
Yeah,
it.
Google just has a black bar on it, and I'm like, oh.
This is what the internet looks like now.
Yeah, I am wondering about it. But yeah, people keep coming in here. For the past couple of days, people have been like, "Don't you care? How can you not care?" And I'm like, I just want to let people know that in general, I don't really give a shit about anything like that. I mean, I do care. I'm aware of it. It would suck if it passed, but like, I don't like talking about it. So I don't like. I feel like I want
I see
to.
that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's mostly that the people that always get really passionate about it are just dicks.
Yeah, it's like
Other people that get passionate about everything that passes.
talking about politics makes me feel sleepy. Like I'm in a room full of gas. There's a leak, and I just like I'm falling asleep and I'm dying. So.
Yeah, my brother came in earlier and he was like, it's about freedom of speech, man.
I know,
was
yeah.
like,
Everyone in here is talking about it for the past couple days, so just wanted to let you guys know that I'm aware. I don't really give a shit because there's nothing, whatever. If it happens, it happens. But
face this cyber police, bro. Can't say it's the truth.
all right, guys, ready? We're done. We're not talking about it anymore. I brought it up because people asked me to bring it up. It's done. No more talking about it. Stop. This stream has never been and will never be political.
I don't see how it could be.
Think simply big.
This goes to the wire.
Think simply big. I'll seriously ban you. Like I know you're joking, but I will seriously do it. It's a slippery slope.
Trying to be a jester. Won't get you anywhere.
How old are you, Dan? I'm 25.
Talking to an 18-year-old.
Yep. There's no age in art.
How was life after I turned 18?
Yeah, a lot less exciting for me.
Yeah, I was thinking that. You may wake up every day now without purpose.
I'm just trying to find a replacement for you.
You won't find a replacement for me.
I
I'm
haven't
one of a
found
kind.
I will find one. I haven't found one yet.
You should just comb through CA looking for like
the next up and comer. You 16? Oh, that's perfect. You're really gonna be something someday. Hey, you're the golden boy. You want a video chat?
Send you some prizes.
Only now it is.
Hey, you won again.
You won. Hey, let's video chat. We'll talk about it. I just want to see you. You know. Only now does Sam understand.
Yeah, no, I knew all along I was getting groomed. I just kind of liked it in a sick way. if I just look back on it when I'm like 30 or something, like, oh god, oh no.
What's the political system like in Crystal Crusaders? Where there was a peaceful kingdom, but anthracite overthrew it. But one kid escaped with the legendary crystals that awoke the Crystal Crusaders, and now they're fighting. They're fighting to bring back the Age of Peace. The Crystal Crusaders are asleep inside the Crystal Cathedral for thousands of years until mankind needs them again. And then whoever has the crystals plugs them into their crystal chests, and they wake them up. In their dormant state, they're colorless crystals. They're just statues. Colorless statues of men. Plug the crystal in, they come to life. That's what me and Dave decided.
Is that their weakness as well?
No, they're only weak.
What is their weakness?
Their weakness is darkness, because without light they can't sparkle. Me and Dave already decided. Me and Dave already decided all this. See, the thing is that the light, the crystal in their chest is their heart. So the light comes from their heart. So if light shines into the crystal and refracts out, it mixes with their heart light. So it's like the power of love. So if there's darkness and if they can't sparkle, then they're less powerful. Sorry, it's a great idea, Sam. Sorry you didn't have it.
Fuck you. So bad.
The sun amplifies the power of their heart. That's what I'm trying to say.
Power of love is what you said.
I know. Power of love. Why does he shine in the dark if dark is their weakness? Well, they're less powerful in the dark, but they're not powerless. Him shining in the dark is a metaphor for never giving up, you know? That love can exist. That love can exist in any scenario. They have an inner light. It's just amplified by the sun.
They'll make a film. It's just going to be like the climax of that Pokemon film where they'll start crying.
Well, no, it's like...
Realize the power of love.
Like what he was going to say to the kid. What they're going to say to the kid when one of them dies is the kid's going to go, the darkness is spreading. How can we fight it without you? And he's going to point at his heart and he's going to go, don't you understand? The light's inside you. And then he dies. Haven't you learned anything? The light's inside you.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Kid realizes it's all about his own courage. You really thought this through.
So darkness isn't like kryptonite to the Crusaders? No, they're less powerful in darkness, but it doesn't annihilate them. See, the thing is that
I feel like
they're transparent. All the Crystal Crusaders are transparent, so sunlight can shine through them, and each other's light can shine through them. So, like, if he's fighting alongside Ruby Robert, you know, they're both casting light into each other and amplifying each other because of their friendship and love. So it's like Anthracite, the bad guy, he's a black diamond, and those aren't transparent. He's like super reflective coal. So light doesn't shine through him. He literally bounces light back. He doesn't let any light in because he's anthracite. Light bounces off of him. So he's shiny, but you can't see into his heart. Hi, I'm Dan Warren. Genius.
I have a horrible feeling I'm actually just going to use these.
Dan, is there a sex connection between Topaz Tony and Ruby Robert? No, I've already said this. They don't have genitalia. He's not wearing a thong. His crotch is made of crystal. There's no penis under that. It's just crystal. They don't have sex organs.
is 100% PG rated. He can be on kid shows anywhere.
Hey Dan, I can't stop drawing monsters. What do I do? Draw humans. You can definitely stop drawing monsters. Just stop. Simple answer.
Just stop, right? I feel like Wikipedia doing the blackout thing is like, look how much you need us.
Like information just isn't
now
available.
We're gone.
Information just isn't available anymore.
There is no more knowledge in the world. It's gone.
There's no such thing as facts anymore. Everything's debatable. Everything's debatable till Wikipedia comes back.
I wake up and I look at all the cereals, but all the words don't make any sense anymore, and I start screaming.
Yep. This is where I feel nauseous because I drank too much coffee.
This is where you come down from your high.
Yeah. Start relapsing.
You're like, oh, I shouldn't have drank all that coffee.
Except that's exactly what's happening. No, it's not Dave, it's Sam. We always get that question.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's like people don't understand accents.
I'm not even American.
Dan, how do we treat portraits as far as composition is concerned? I don't know what you mean. Most portraits in general throughout history are designed on the iconic composition. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but if you're doing a portrait, typically the eyes are on the upper third and the shoulders are on the lower third, or the eyes are like in between the third and the middle. You know, it's like designed on a diamond pretty much, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but yeah. How to design a portrait? Well, it's like, here, I'll just open this up. I'll crop this out and just show you what I mean real quick. So it's like, I'm assuming your portrait's going to be an upward rectangle because most of them are. So let's assume this is your canvas size. So like, just really quickly, like, you know, if this is the working size of your portrait, I'm just going to eyeball it, just letting you know. It's not going to be super accurate, but let's say this is your top third and this is your bottom third and this is your halfway point. So, and then this is your halfway point. You know, are you talking like a 3/4 portrait or like a, yeah, I don't know. I'll just do some basic stuff. So then we'll say this is the other third, the vertical third and the vertical halves. So we'll say that's half, that's 1/3, that's 2/3. So I'm going to turn that down now. So I'll put that behind. So that's just like, that grid's inaccurate, but just pretend it is. So, you know, you can design it on fourths, you can design it on thirds, whatever you want to do. So what I usually see and what I like is having the eyes somewhere between the top third and the halfway point. So I'll rough in, like, you know, the eyes are going to be like here basically. I'll do a 3/4. So, the head, I don't know how big you want the head to be. If you want it to be a large thing, I'll assume that's what you want. So, yeah, like, the head could be in this kind of space here, and, the shoulders are kind of on the second third down here, kind of descending. These are like, I'm assuming you're doing portraits like Dave's doing portraits, because that's what most people in here are doing. So, this is very zoomed in. This is a very zoomed in portrait. So, you got your nose here, kind of mouth, and then the eyes are right on this line in between the third and the halfway point. So the eyes are kind of roughed in here. Got your ear back here, jawline. However you're tilting the head, just make it work accordingly. It's very, very rough. And then, there's like a John Singer Sargent kind of portrait where it's more zoomed out. So then the head would be like on the third, the eyes would be right on the third, that intersection. So I'll just assume it's like a John Singer Sargent woman, and I'll give her the dress and the big shoulder poof thing. So it would be something like this, and she'd have like, I don't know, one arm down here on like a table, and then I'll curl this other arm up and give her like a fan, and design it. But the thing is that this whole thing's still designed inside a triangle kind of diamond thing, and then her eyes are right on the third. There's some negative space up here. Dress comes down. That's like a zoomed out portrait. John Singer Sargent would make them taller, so the eyes are right on the third. And then there's like the Renaissance style portrait, where it's like, the eyes are on the third again, or actually they're in between the third and the halfway point, but it's more zoomed out than the kind of portraits Dave does. Where if you ever look at like, a portrait of Anne Boleyn or something like that, actually that's even that's too big. Those kind of portraits were like this. The head was big but not too big, usually in 3/4, and then they had the neck. And what they did was they'd have it come down to like just about the elbow, but not really. They'd crop it off right before it got to the elbow. That was kind of a medieval way of doing it, where they'd have the guy in 3/4 like this, with his mustache or whatever, in his beard, and we'll give him the Pope hat. And it's like a portrait of Cardinal Shalombar, or whatever the fuck his name is going to be. So, this is more of the medieval way of doing it, and then he'd have the inevitable, like, symbols of his office, like the big necklace, the thing coming down here, the shoulder things, the hair in the back. Is this helping at all? These are like all different ways to set up portraits based on classic methods of portraiture. So like that eye is right on the halfway mark vertically, and it's right between the third and the halfway horizontally. So that eye instantly becomes the focal point, and then this becomes the second focal point, the other eye. His mouth is right on the halfway point, so everything inside the face, all the essential data of the character, is right in this intersection of the top third, the halfway, and then the 2/3 vertically in the halfway. So this is all the sweet spot. Everything inside this circle, that's where the eye is going to go, just based on that invisible grid. So does that make sense? Are you understanding the composition? I'm doing this for you. Answer me.
Did you actually remember all of that from like actual pieces?
Huh?
Do you actually, are they like actually right for the pieces that you're referencing?
What are you talking about? You talking to me or them?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are correct. This right here, this one of the Pope, this is how, like, okay, like Hans Holbein, this is how he did his portraits. That's exactly the method he did. Titian, all those guys, this is how they did portraits, period. Like, they would sometimes do bigger ones of, like, the full body, but far and away, this was the medieval way of doing it. Okay,
Yeah,
and then
I didn't even know that.
the John Singer Sargent, he would do full body sometimes too. Like unless they're doing a full body, which is an exception to the rule, then it's not really a portrait. It's like a full figure design. But John Singer Sargent's portraits, he would sometimes do the medieval method, like the Pope one. He'd zoom in and do the shoulders and the face, but what he was famous for were these tall figures that got kind of cropped off at the knees, where like, I did that study of the woman leaning against the piano, that kind of thing. He did a lot of stuff like that, where it was like a taller, thinner portrait designed on a diamond with a figure in it. And then, the stuff Dave's doing is super zoomed in, where it's really just about the face and a little bit about the shoulders. It's more focused on, like, the character's face, where, like, the eyes right here. I'll make it a portrait of me.
Yeah, it's weird. I never really thought that much about composition and portraits. I don't know why.
Portraits
obviously
especially.
I still think about it like where things go, but like never.
No, portraiture is actually
style.
portraiture is like a science. Like if you look through the ages at different people that did portraiture, it's literally as you go through the ages. Like the 1800s had a science for portraiture, a mathematical rule of how to set them up. So did the Middle Ages had a very very specific thing. And they deviated from them from time to time, but far and away, most of the stuff was done in that style. Dan, did you learn this in art school or just through observation? I learned this from one friend of mine named Dave Bondar, who's a traditional kind of atelier style painter. And when my work in school was sucking really bad, I asked him for help on composition. And he didn't know a lot about it. He knew these things, but he didn't know anything about deviating from these things. So together we made a class on composition, and I had to learn this so I could teach it, which sounds really fucked up, but it's the truth. I had to learn it myself so I could reiterate it to other kids in the class that I wrote the curriculum for. So, yeah, I kind of taught myself. He taught me these golden rule kinds of things, and then I kind of taught myself the rest. So, no, this isn't crits. Just basic mathematical knowledge of how to set up 3 different kinds of portraits, where we've got the medieval right here with the Pope. This is the standard kind of medieval shoulders to elbow. The face is right in the third halfway intersection kind of thing. That's very 1500s to 1800s. Portraits really didn't exist before like the 1300s. Before like the Renaissance kicked in, there really wasn't much. There were some things, they were very flawed. When the Renaissance kicked in, this was the big way to do it. From the 1800s forward, this was the kind of way to do it. The Pre-Raphaelites and John Singer Sargent and all them did a lot of portraiture like this. They still did the medieval one, I just want to say that. And they also did full figure portraits. But they definitely did a lot of this kind of thing where it was taller, more zoomed in, more vertical, larger. And then, this is the kind of stuff Dave's doing, where the figure's designed in this central diamond, which I'll just draw real quick. Like, it's in there. You'll see it if you look for it. The eyes are on one of the lines of the diamond. The eye is basically in the center of the 2 intersections of the diamond. But yeah, it's just like, And then I'll do the 4th one just because this is on here, and I might as well do it. Like if you look at the old like portrait of like Henry VIII or whatever, that kind of thing, they would bump the head up to make it look more impressive. So it was more designed on fourths, where it was like this kind of thing, where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. When they tried to make people taller, they would design it on that. So now we're talking fourths, okay? Totally different ball game. So the shoulders would be on the 2nd fourth. The head would be, the shoulders would be halfway between 4th 1 and 2. And the head would be intersecting number 1. And then this triangle would come down of the torso, and then it would usually fan out in some kind of impressive triangular shape, like Henry VIII's portrait is a perfect example of this. And the hands would be between 3 and 4. The waist would be right on the 2. And then the feet would be down here, and they'd be somewhere near the bottom. So I made this very skewed, but you get the idea. He was a fat fuck, so it was more like this. The body was designed entirely inside a diamond. you know? Yeah, composition is understanding that even if you don't draw a grid in an image, your brain sees one, and placing things in certain places, because automatically your image is always going to be some kind of square, because that's just what happens. It's some kind of rectangle. Even if you draw a circle, it's inside of an implied rectangle. So your mind automatically sees these landmarks, and certain placements are visually pleasing and others aren't. That's why when things hug the edge, it looks awkward and there's a tension, is because your mind feels that it's too close to the edge. It's not sitting peacefully in a space. So composition is the art of understanding why things look good in certain places and how to deviate and play with those rules to make something work and look satisfying. You can do all kinds of advanced things with it, but these are definitely the basics. And if you're talking about portraiture, I mean, these are basically the four. You know, these four are the basics. These are the ones that have been done time and time and time again, and they're all based on fourths and thirds. Everything is, and the golden ratio, which I'm not going to explain. You can look it up. It would take forever. Question. This might be a silly question, but why is it that back in time, before the Rembrandts and the accurate portraits, was the art very inaccurate in terms of not being very good drawing, if you get me? I think it's two things. I think it's that art didn't have any benefactors, so there were no standards. Because like before the Medici showed up in the church in the Renaissance, this is like real art history. Before like the Medici showed up in the Renaissance, the only patron for the arts that existed was the church, and there was no like people were super isolated before the Renaissance. Like very rarely did someone who lived in one city move to another city, and most people lived and died in the same area. So there was no culture of like, oh, have you seen this artist from Milan? There was no competition, you know? No one could look at other artists and be like, oh, well, I got to better myself. You know, if you were remotely good at the arts and you happened to live in a city, chances are you were like the only person there that was good at it. There might have been two or three other people, but there wasn't any competition. And when there's no competition, there's no reason to excel. So because there was no reason to excel, nobody got better. When the Renaissance kicked in, all these things happened. People were traveling. People were going on pilgrimages to Rome, which is where the center was. It was in Italy. And the reason the center was in Italy was because people went on pilgrimages. That's the only reason. That's why it all happened there. Okay? So people would go there and they'd see these other things and they'd set up these schools where they'd be like, wow, this artist is really good. I want to study under him. So then the apprentice system started happening there. That's the first time it ever really was a major thing. So artists would take on 20 students, and automatically when an artist took on 20 students in a master class, what does that do? It creates competition because someone wants to be at the top of that class. They want to have the edge. It's human nature when you're in a group of other people doing the same things to want to be the best at it. Their egos came into play, things like that. They wanted the money, they wanted the respect. So that instantly created a fuel for competitive development where everybody wanted to be better than the other person. You know, there's famous stories of like Titian and his two friends, what was his name? Veronese and some other guy. They were like really good friends and they all lived in the same city. And they would get together and they would paint the same people. And then the person would pay whoever won they thought was the best result. So there's paintings of the same person by Titian, Tintoretto, and I think his name's like Veronese. They would all have competitions where somebody would say, I want a portrait. They'd all do the same person's portrait, and then whoever did it the best would get the money. So as a result, they all got really, really good together. So then what happens is it starts just rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling, and then you get like the Michelangelos and the Leonardos and stuff like that, where it gets so competitive and so blown out that to have an edge, people actually start doing research. Leonardo opens a school, he takes dead bodies from crypts and stuff with permission, lays them out on tables, and people study proportion. They cut them open and they look at the bones for the first time ever. They understand muscle structure. They're able to look at a human skeleton without being killed for exhuming a grave or committing witchcraft. You know, all this information in science starts showing up as a result of that artistic competition. And that's why it got more accurate, because people started asking questions to have a competitive edge. And that's why. That's the long answer to your question. So that
It's
is
like
Art History 101 with Dan Warren. Why art sucked before the Renaissance.
just dreaming of your smooth voice. I'm just sat here and it's like one. And I'm just like, ah.
Again, is this information from art school or just from your own? It's a little bit of a combination. When it comes to that kind of question, I did learn some of it in art history classes. I took like advanced placement art history classes because it's something that really did interest me. I really did like art history a lot. So a lot of that is me going to like the MFA and stuff like that and sitting in on presentations and things about Titian. Like that whole thing I went on about Titian and Tintoretto, and I think his name was Veronese. That was me going to the MFA when Titian's stuff was here because I love Titian and I wanted to see it, and listening to the presentation by the curator. A lot of it was from art school. Some of it's from reading books. You know, like I have a whole book on Leonardo and Michelangelo. Yeah, but it just accumulated knowledge. Some of it did come from school, though. So, yeah, I mean, I forget I know all this useless information, but yeah, I'm happy I could help.
Just in between questions, what's there's another Tony behind your Tony?
Oh, that's a
Not
pan
the
over.
writer.
It's a pan over Dave did
Oh,
that I
cool.
was
You guys
using.
see it? Or-
Yeah. He boosted the values and the shadows and brought in a lot of warm reflection. Which I'm kind of working towards right now.
Yeah.
Question: what do you see in the future of art? Do you think our industry will change? Well, it's already changed. I mean, literally, this is going to sound lame, but I want you all to think about it, honestly, because it's absolutely true. What just happened in the Renaissance that I explained? An industry came out of nowhere in a central place. So people started traveling there to learn it to make money. And because tons of people started doing it, it created competition, it created rivalry, and it created this boom in that industry. That's what it was, you know? Think about what concept art was in the 90s. Then think about what happened to concept art right around 2000 when conceptart.org showed up and everybody went on there. Everybody found out it was an industry. Everybody saw the masters that were doing it. They found out there was a clientele, and instantly on the forums there was a massive boost of competition. And because of that boost of competition and all the stuff that came out of it, in the past decade, the industry has gone from having absolutely no standards like it did in the 90s, when concept art for movies and stuff didn't really have to be good at all, to these huge, ridiculous standards of human form and light and anatomy. The exact same thing I just talked about in the Renaissance happened to this in the past 10 years. You can go back and look at the forums and actually see the development of the standards. They didn't exist a decade ago, at all. They do now. It's the exact same thing. There's no difference between the Renaissance and what happened here. It's a new art form showing up in a central location. In this case, it was a digital location, but that doesn't matter. A bunch of people do it really well. People get excited about it. They want to get in on it. It makes a big lower class of people that want to do it. They all compete for jobs, and then everybody gets better as a result. And in turn, the whole industry advances. That's what's happening right now. We're in the middle of that cycle. I don't know how much farther it's going to go, but we're definitely in the height of it right now.
I mean, without wanting to sound unbelievably pretentious, even though I'm sure it will, like 107 people listening to this, that is like a thing in art.
Yeah.
Even though, like, it's just gonna sound so good to say, it is a movement of sorts.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
Current time where.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, it's like, and I hate saying this. I really hate saying this because it sounds stupid, but there's such a concrete parallel in things that are happening now to things that have happened in the past that I can't not say it. What happens inevitably in anything like this is that a bunch of people do it, they establish the rules of how it's to be done, which in our case is good anatomy, good light, good form, good design, good composition, all the things we tell you to look for in a portfolio, that's what that is. And then inevitably, after enough time has gone by, someone takes a risk, and everyone in that movement hates them for it because they deviate from that plan and they all laugh at them. And then inevitably, they're the one that gets remembered, and then it changes the game, and then it respawns. The whole cycle starts over again. So, for example, tons of people in the concept art world are like, fuck Andrew Jones, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm one of them. I've said that before. But it's because he deviated from the plan, and that's why his stuff's so famous. It's because he went from traditional concept artist and just totally stopped and did his own thing. You know, and that's why he's as big as he is. It's the same thing with, like, you know, the same exact thing happened to, like, the Impressionist masters. They all were realists, and then they were like, we don't want to do this anymore. Impressionism, we just made it up this weekend. And everybody laughed at them, and they were like, you fucking lazy piece of shit. I'm painting this super realist naked woman over here, and you just boom out that piece of shit painting. And they all laughed at him. They wouldn't let him hang their work in galleries. Stuff like that. And then 100 years later, it's like, because they took that risk, even though people hated them at the time they were alive, they get remembered for changing the game. You know, that's what it is. That's what everything is. That's the history of art, is something happens for a long time, someone gets bored, switches it up, pretty soon everybody does that. Because then later, Impressionism was the only thing that happened. And then the Pre-Raphaelites showed up, and then that was the only thing that happened. And then the Golden Age of Illustration showed up, and that was the only thing that happened. You know? It's just a cycle of things that get very popular, burn themselves out, and then a new thing comes out of it.
I mean, you like to think, like, the fact that, like I like to think, oh, I'm not part of a movement because I just like drawing well, but that is part of the movement. Like,
Mahans, Impressionism disgusts me. Do you like Greg Manchess? He's an impressionist. Greg Manchess is an impressionist. Impressionism is a tool. It's a way of painting. There's so many artists. Like, do you like Justin Sweet? He's an impressionist. Do you like Vance Kovacs? He's an impressionist.
Sargent.
John Singer Sargent's an impressionist. Modern day today, there's tons of painters that are impressionists.
Impressionist, disgusting. Yeah.
You can't make blanket statements like that. Do you like Dave?
Disgusting vagrants.
Do you like Dave Raposa? Dave Raposa's an impressionist. When he comes on here and he says, only carve out the area of focus, lose everything else, all you need to do is imply things, you don't need to render every detail, that's Impressionism 101. That is the foundation rule of Impressionism. Let the eye put the pieces together for you.
Damn, they're just disgusting vagrants.
You know, it's like,
don't associate yourselves.
If you don't have the knowledge about an art form, you can't make a statement like that. Because obviously, just by saying Impressionism disgusts me, I know that you know nothing about it. I'm not saying that to be a dick. It's just true. Just from that statement, I know that you don't know anything about what you're saying. So you got to be careful. Impressionism in the 1700s and early 1800s was mostly concerned with color, but they did change the art world in a lot of other ways, and focus was one of them.
Yeah, like, there's some really, really awesome Impressionist art. Oh, this looks so cool when I turn the layer on that makes it into the box.
Yeah.
So cool.
So I've been studying Impressionist pieces, etc. Any advice, or should I jump into it? When you're studying Impressionism, you're not studying the final result as much as you're studying the method. When you look at Impressionism stuff, you have to look at how they painted it as opposed to what they painted. Like, you can't go mark for mark, because that's stupid. Going mark for mark defeats the point of an Impressionist piece. That's not how you study it. You're supposed to look at like how they did it, like the economy of marks, and try to match that. But if you match every single stroke in the painting, you're not learning anything. It's too meticulous to be impressionism. You know what I mean? And it's like, to tell you the truth, the only reason illustration exists the way it does in America right now, and this is totally indisputable, is Howard Pyle was the father of this industry. He created the golden age of illustration in the Brandywine School in the 1800s, early 1900s. And he taught N.C. Wyeth, Maxfield Parrish, all those people. Illustration didn't exist in America at all on the whole until that happened. You know, it was here and there randomly, but it wasn't an industry really till that happened. And without that, nothing we do would have come the way it came. Everything would have been completely different, you know? And the only reason that happened is because Howard Pyle was a realist, and he went over to France and he studied at an atelier and he learned impressionism. And he came back and he was like, holy shit, I can paint so much faster now as a result of learning these tricks. And he took on a bunch of students, and like N.C. Wyeth, every painting he ever did is an impressionist painting. He never did realism. You might not think that's the truth because he painted like Robin Hood fighting knights and cowboys killing Indians and all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's still impressionism.
Hearing you talk reminds me how little I know.
I'm a font of knowledge. It's just terrible. Because I can't
How
forget.
do you remember?
I can't forget anything.
I know it's a curse, but
Yeah, it's
I don't
like,
know any of this stuff.
Dan, could you ever do an art history stream? Well, that's the thing, is like art history is too broad. You'd have to give me like a focus. I could do a focused stream. Like this whole stream could have been portraiture and why it exists with Dan. You know, that's basically what this stream is right now. I could do other ones like Golden Age of Illustration with Dan. You know, like I don't like, I know the
Who
stuff.
else would they be with?
Like, I know the stuff. I have no problem doing a stream about it because I'm not going to forget the things because I can't forget anything, unfortunately. I just can't. So I have no problem doing an art history stream.
It gives your curse some kind of reason.
Well, it's like someone just said perspective theory. Like, how many of you know this, okay? Perspective didn't exist until the Renaissance. And the only reason it existed is because one guy wanted a job more than the other guy. That's the only reason it exists. That's it. Like, it didn't exist before the Renaissance. No one did it. Everything was flat. There was no reason to do it. And then one guy was like, well, he can paint figures really good, but, you know, his floor, I can make a better floor. And then he looked at floors, and he was like, cool. I got the job.
What's going on there?
Yeah. And then everybody was like, oh, man, he got that job because he did a floor? I can do better than that. I'm going to do a floor and a ceiling. And then perspective was born. You know, it's just, that's what it was. It was a bunch of people wanting a job. This is why when Dave comes on here and he says stuff like when Crimson Dagger started, like, I want to give all the knowledge away for free and make everybody as competitive as possible, because when we're all competing, the industry benefits. That's exactly the truth. I just explained it to you. The more we all compete, the better things are going to get.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about this as a long-term thing,
Yeah.
that's like an actual vehicle that's moving,
Yeah.
you realize how crazy it is. Because, I mean, like, the few people in here now that are actually doing this, that will carry it through in a few years, will be insane. But
Yeah.
hopefully they'll still have this attitude as well.
Like, literally, I mean,
Which is
people...
pretty mad for
peop-
industry.
Yeah, like people can shit on concept art all they want. People can say it's worthless, whatever. But one thing they can't deny, nobody can deny it if they look at the facts, is that what's happening in this industry right now is an exact mirror flip of what happened in the Renaissance. And in that way, at least that one way, it has to be taken seriously as a thing. You might not think the artwork is as meaningful as it was back then, but that's your opinion. And it's like the same, even the same things are being said now. It's lame thinking about it because it's so stupid to consider that it's so similar. Because everybody has this cloud of like mysticism around the Renaissance, like it was some life-changing thing, some world-revolving crazy thing. And it's like, well, no, not really. Back then, people were like, dude, I hate living in France. There's no scene here at all. Everything's in Italy, dude. I'm just going to save up, keep painting church walls, get some money, go out there, learn with the best of them. And what happens today? People are like, man, I hate living in Arkansas. Everything's in California. I really want to go to that atelier in California. I'm just going to save up drawing orcs and move out there. It's the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if there can be new movements, but definitely a lot of them get recycled and like recur again throughout history in a new form. Like certain movements take on like essences of old movements,
Yeah.
just to change things. And like we live in a time where there's like Damien Hirst and stuff.
Yeah.
And now no one likes it.
Someone's saying in the chat that conceptart.org is very aggressive with the comments and not very constructive. I disagree. I'd say aggressive is a good word, but it's aggressive from a place of love. It's like people there hold you to a higher standard because conceptart.org is rooted in realism. The larger percent of the people on conceptart.org are people that want to be concept artists, and because of that, they're very rooted in fundamental knowledge, anatomy, light, form, things like that. And when people are bad at that and they're not addressing things that are outside of their comfort zone, a lot of the people there can leave really rude comments and crits and things like stop being a lazy ass, work on this, work on that, But it's not because they don't like you or they hate you or something like that. It's because everyone over there is very fiercely competitive. It's the same competition I just talked about and went on and on and on about. Everyone there loves what they're doing so much that they constantly see flaws in other people's stuff and want to have an edge. So it's like, you have to just kind of rise above it and accept that your work has flaws and take all those feedback things in stride. But yeah.
Yeah.
Like Stas is saying CG Hub is better. You're wrong, because there is no better. They're all good. They're all tools. Yeah, exactly. There's no one better thing. If your opinion is that CG Hub is better, that's fine, but you can't make a statement like that. DeviantArt, Concept Art, CG Hub, all those sites, they're all just as good as each other for different reasons.
Yeah, and there's like a running community throughout them anyway.
Yeah.
Like the same people, so.
If you're closed-minded about it and you're like, well, this is my site, it's the only one I go on because I'm, so much more above the people on this site, it's like, well, then you're being an absolute idiot and you're losing an entire market that you could be taking advantage of because you're up your own ass. Yeah, exactly. This is this whole thing is the product of me drinking too much coffee. This entire thing. This entire art history rant was Dan drank too much coffee and now it's 8:30.
I love it when time just fast forward.
I just talk.
Like, oh.
I just talk about the Renaissance and an hour goes by and I'm like, what the fuck?
It's because when you're talking, you're like repeating stuff. It's amazing.
I know. I'll say the same thing 3 different ways to maximize the effectiveness.
Then 20 minutes have passed at one point.
I know.
So good.
If you guys want art history streams, I have no problem doing it, but I need to know what you guys want to know about. There's too many things I could talk about. I'll inevitably get segued into talking about something else.
You'd probably have to organize them yourself.
Well,
I
it's
know
like
people know what they want.
it's like the leaps I can make in art history knowledge are just stupid.
You have to plan it. Yeah.
I could be like the Mughal dynasty in India was the founder of leaf patterns and vines in their work, which later inspired Alphonse Mucha, which in turn created the children's book industry in America. And then I'll be like, oh my god, there's too many things to talk about.
Such a smart.
It's just terrible. You guys know that everything Mucha did came from India, right? All of his patterns and Art Nouveau swirls, all of that was aped from Persian design. Hey, what's up? Oh my god. It's because It's because it was at the height of the age of consumer empirism, and people were trading with countries that had previously been shut off.
How do you live with this knowledge?
I don't know.
Like my head's starting to hurt from too much knowledge already.
I don't know.
And it's all in yours.
Oh my god.
I need to keep talking though. It's 1:30 now. I need something to listen to.
Oh god. So if anyone's got any questions, I'm at the height of my coffee high and I'm shaking, so feel free to ask. I love this cat just casually leaping. It's like frolicking. It's like not even a leap. It's just like, oh.
Should make it so it's smiling in a like horribly human way.
I know. Like it has a personality. Like the fucking cat from He-Man. I don't have ADD, Dark Jacob. It's literally the caffeine. If I hadn't drunk any coffee, I would just be here singing Defenders of the Earth, Defenders, and just painting.
Sure about that?
I'm positive that's what I did yesterday.
Sure.
I missed some questions.
Just get checked out, huh?
Then repost them, guys. The chat's going really fast. If I missed a question, I'm not going to scroll up and look for it. I'm painting. If I see the question, I'll answer it. If I miss it, I'm sorry. Just repost it.
So many questions.
Do you have any
how you doing?
art history book recommendations? There's too many. There's too many topics in art history. In terms of general art history, just as an overview of everything, you could get Gardner's Art Through the Ages. I have 3 editions of that. But like, there's too many topics in art history to tell you one book that would have everything. Gardner's does a pretty good job. They don't really go into the golden age of illustration too much. They kind of stop at the impressionists. No, I can't talk about my secret project with Dave. I cannot do that. I'm sorry. A Japanese print stream, I could do that. Eastern art history, I could definitely do that. Have I ever seen Nocturna? No, I haven't. Or at least I don't think I have. Yeah, Gardner's, you can't really use it after Impressionism. Everything becomes really, really opinionated. It's just like, it's all facts up until like World War I, and then everything's bullshit after that. So yeah, just if you get that book, keep that in mind. Crazy things no one should ever say. Yeah, it's really factual till World War I, and then it kind of falls apart.
I hate you so much right now.
I hate me so much right now. Are you kidding me? I feel fucking disgusting. Talk about Greece and their super realistic art and how they changed it to semi-realism because realism got too boring. You just answered your own question. Oh, God.
He wants to hear you say it.
This again is me being curious, and I do love his art, but I often wonder how Yoji Shinakawa got the job as lead concept artist at Konami for Metal Gear. I guess his style defined the game, but I didn't know his name, but I'm assuming you're talking about the watercolor guy who did all the original Metal Gear Solid art. That's just because he's a good illustrator. His images have impact. They might not be, he's a good example of like, why is Yoshitaka Amano always going to be more famous than you, no matter how talented you get with form and anatomy and light? It's because his images had impact at a time when a lot of stuff didn't. They weren't accurate. They weren't accurate. They weren't rooted in reality. They weren't fundamentally there. But because they were beautiful and they had impact and they didn't really look like what everybody else was doing in the competition, it stayed, that's the thing, is like it had staying power. It's the same thing with the guy that did the Metal Gear art. It didn't look like art for a sci-fi game. It looked like some kind of children's book fine art hybrid. So it was weird when they attached it to that. It was a risk, and it worked. That's the thing, is like style trumps everything. In the end, if you can take all your knowledge, because like he's not ignorant. The guy who did the Metal Gear stuff, he's not ignorant at all. He just has a very definitive style. He knows what he's doing. He knows basic proportion and stuff like that. But he might not use it that way all the time. It's just like you can study fundamentals and light forever, but if you don't ever add your own flavor to it, you won't do anything with it. You'll get jobs and stuff, but you won't make like an impact. You won't be like remembered or anything. Not that you should really care about that anyway, but if that's what you're more like worrying about, you got to add your own flavor to things. Yeah, you do have to know the rules to bend them. If you shoot for style too soon, your stuff looks ignorant. It looks uninformed. It looks really bad and flawed. If you learn the rules and then you start breaking them and you realize what you're doing and why you're breaking them, then yeah, it looks better. No, I was wondering how he's so employable over people who are tons better than him at fundamentals than he is. Because he's him and they're not. It's the exact thing I just said about Amano. He happened to get his foot in the door at a time when fundamentals weren't all that important. And when he did that, he made a huge impact. And because he made that impact, his imagery has staying power. Like Amano did the Final Fantasy stuff in like 87. There was no standards at all because the game industry didn't exist. So it's like because he did that, automatically he got tenure basically. He was like, I can stick around this thing forever because I was one of the founders. So like he doesn't have to get better because he's Amano. He can just be the same thing forever. It kind of sucks really because then they never improve. Like Amano's worse than he was in the 80s now. If you look at his stuff, he actually got worse. But it doesn't matter because he's him. Don't try to be that. You know, you don't want to be that. Question, Dan, have you seen Kadorisho Otomo Redline It? No, I don't watch anime. Sorry. Not trying to be a dick. I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm not going to click it and watch it live on my live stream. I have no clue what you're talking about. Apologies.
I have no clue what any of you are talking about.
He's talking about the
some monkey with a tablet.
Yeah, you know.
I haven't known most of the names. Yeah.
I didn't know the Metal Gear guy's name. I know his art, that watercolor action-y stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I like his work a lot.
Yeah, I thought he was really good.
I love his work. The guy that created Akira? Well, I know him as that. Yeah. His stuff is super rooted in fundamentals.
God, you get so many questions.
Dan, what's your knowledge on Spanish South American illustrators? I know a little of it, but the 80s sci-fi came out of Mexico is crazy. I honestly don't know anything about that. I'll tell you right now, I don't know anything about South American illustrators at all. I really don't. If that's a movement, I don't know it. Dan, what do you think of Feng Zhu and his school? Some people are of the thought that he just teaches artists to be cartoon copies of his style, carbon copies of his style. I don't know enough about it to comment on it, and I've said this on here before. I haven't looked into Feng Zhu really at all. I've heard things about him, but that doesn't give me any kind of authority to make a statement about him. I will say that in general, when an artist gets a big name and then he starts a school, all he ever really does is teach people to be carbon copies of himself because they're paying to go there to learn from him. It's like, you know, how schoolism operates, where it's like if you get a download from Bobby Chiu, he's teaching you how to be Bobby Chiu. It's the same exact thing. So I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know enough about it to really comment. In general...
Sorry.
Well, I was just saying, like, in general, like, when SVA was founded in America, Bern Hogarth started the school, and people went there because they wanted to be Bern Hogarth. They went there because he did the Tarzan comics. He was, like, the father of, like, narrative, you know, superhero kind of comic book stuff in America. And people went there to learn how to be him. You know, that's a tradition with artists who start their own schools, is that if you have the money and the pull to start your own school as an artist, it's because thousands of people admire your work and want to emulate it. So instantly that makes the expectation of when I go to this school run by Bern Hogarth, he's going to teach me how to be Bern Hogarth. After I become Bern Hogarth, I can then put my own spin on it and become my own person. But until I get there, I'm just going to be Bern Hogarth. You know, that's where that came from. That's not uncommon at all. And I mean, tons of people do that. It's like that same thing me and Dave always say about when you're just starting out, you learn by copying people you admire. It's the exact same thing, except in that scenario, you have the guy right there with you, live, telling you how to be him. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you can't always be him. You can't do that forever. You can learn from him for a while, then take that knowledge and supplement it with other things to create who you're going to be. But you don't want to be a carbon copy of a person forever, you know? Obviously, if you take a class with an artist at a school that they founded, you want to learn his skills, or why would you go? So I don't really have a problem with that. If the kids are paying to learn from him, then yeah, sure, he should probably teach them what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the video for that school, and it's literally just like... It's exactly what it's advertised to be, just how to create concepts like Feng Zhu.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
From the bottom out.
I have no problem with that.
If
If the people are paying to go there, then they want to learn how to be him so they can use it to make themselves better. That's what I'm assuming. If they're learning the skills just to be carbon copies of him, like the classic example I always use is that after Andrew Jones got big, there were like 37 other Andrew Joneses on the internet. His style is so distinctive that you can't really ape him and use that information in any useful way. Like, you can't take what Andrew Jones does and apply it to your illustrations and become kind of like Andrew Jones. It's like all or nothing because it's so stylized. You're either in one direction, total, or the other, polar opposite direction. But, you know, for Feng Zhu, I think it's a little different. Am I an H.R. Geiger fan? I'm a fan of Alien. That's about it. Honestly, I don't really. I like Alien. I feel like that's really it. That's all I'm going to say about Geiger.
I loved his work on Alien.
Yeah, that's really all I have to say about him. I don't not like him. I'm kind of lukewarm on it. You know, he's good. I liked Alien a lot. That's all I really have to say about it.
Just Mayhem's in the chat said he was going to go to Stockholm Atelier, but didn't want to because of your opinion on art school.
No, ateliers are totally different than art schools. Mahans, ateliers are completely different.
Atelier, it's really good.
Yeah, one thing you have to understand is that art schools and ateliers have a huge fundamental difference. They actually have a few. The first is that you're learning under a master, not somebody who just got a degree. There's no risk involved with a good atelier that has a reputation. You're learning under somebody who actually knows what they're teaching you. The other advantage is it's a small class, so you get more one-to-one time. And the third advantage is that it's completely rooted in realism and not a style. There's no room for laziness because the goal is you're replicating reality. The teacher can't say like, well, this is my spin. Do this. I like impressionism, so we're going to all be impressionists. An atelier is rooted in fundamentals, so everyone who goes gets the same thing. And you can't really switch up the curriculum too much because it's supposed to be rooted in fundamental realism. So
the guy who runs it is awesome.
Yeah, like I love the atelier model. I fully agree with it. So if you wanted to go to art school and I made you not want to because I said art schools in general suck, I'm not talking about ateliers. Those aren't schools. They're not schools in the terms of like a college or a university. They're what schools should be.
Miles goes there.
Yeah.
He seems to be doing alright. The only thing with that is you gotta apply stuff, but...
This is the thing. Earlier I asked you about the atelier, if I should go get a job and save up for the atelier or stay at home and train myself, and you said train myself. Yeah, I did. Because the thing is, like, I want you to learn self-motivation. You know what I mean? I think you'll get more out of taking time off and working. Go to an atelier later when you've already proven to yourself that you can motivate yourself. You know what I mean? I was saying stay home and work because that way you don't have to, like, you don't have to go to an atelier. That's the thing. You don't have to go to one. You can go to one if you so choose, and if you are serious about the work you're doing and you're passionate and you're realistic, you'll get a lot out of it. But if you haven't gotten there yet and you're just kind of like, oh, I'll go to an atelier, it'll make me good, you won't survive. The requisites of surviving in a really good atelier are completely insane. You know, there's tons of stuff you got to do because ateliers kick people out all the time. And it's like, if you're on the fence about it, which you were or you wouldn't have asked me the question, and money's an issue, which it is because you said you had to save up, then yeah, I think the smarter option is to stay at home and force yourself to learn self-direction.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a position where you're already doing illustrations and then you go to an atelier, you're going to get more from it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people go there expecting to become illustrators from going and realize that they end up good at light drawing.
I will say in general, you should know who you are before you go to an atelier because then it will enhance who you are. If you don't know who you are yet and you go to an atelier, you're not going to get as much out of it. You'll get the fundamental knowledge, but you won't be really growing into your own illustrator. You know what I mean? Like if you know what your style is and you've worked for a while, then an atelier enhances all of that. If you're just starting out and you don't really know, then you're not getting as much. For the record, these are all opinions. If they don't work for you, don't listen to them.
Yeah, it should be said. As much as I hate to say it, Dan's not God.
I'm not God at all. And if there's one thing I learned in art school, it's that one man's opinion should never determine the fate of everybody listening to him. So if you disagree, by all means, I completely understand. I'm just talking about
things. A much
things.
simpler place if you wore God, Dan.
Huh?
The world would be a much simpler place if you wore God. I'd sign up.
There's certain things that are closed for discussion on here, obviously. Like, I'm not going to argue about tracing, as we've all learned this week, and I'm not going to argue about color picking, because you're just wrong. But, like, if it's, like, about personal development and what works for you and, like, which anatomy artist you think is better, that's all totally subjective stuff. And I don't care if you disagree. That's totally fine. I love the discussion.
And it gets a little shaky when you start telling people what to do with their lives as well.
Yeah.
It's like, there's only a certain amount of responsibility you can take giving advice without...
Yeah, I'm giving general advice.
To be the guy that gets the finger pointed at him if things go wrong.
Yeah. It's the reason, like the atelier thing, like it's the reason people get all goosebumpy when they're like, if a name, like for example, let's say like Steve Steveson was a famous illustrator, or he was like an up-and-comer. He was like some 23-year-old, let's say Steve Steveson was a 23-year-old forum prodigy, who all these illustrators were looking at, and they were like, he's going to be the next Jamie Jones. Wow, he's really good. He's got so much self-direction. Wow. And then, you know, it's the reason people get all goosebumpy and lame if that person decides to study at an atelier, because they're like, did you hear that Steve Steveson is going to be studying at the Stockholm Atelier? And they're like, oh my God, he's going to come out of there and be a god. You know, it's the difference between that and being like, hey, my friend Billy you've never met. Well, you know, he kind of wants to do art, so he's going to go to that atelier. And you're like, oh, cool, hope it works out. You know, like that's the difference. If you're already something, the atelier will enhance you. If you're nothing, they're just working with a blank slate. There's nothing really there to enhance on. You'll learn basic things. It won't be a bust. You'll learn things, but you won't have any foundation you're applying those things to. You're basically starting from scratch.
Yeah, it's like I met a lot of people that were like good at drawing naked figures from their head.
Yeah.
But if you're like, well, draw me like a monster or something that
like,
applies this certain stuff, and they're just like,
have an imagination and take risks and make tons of mistakes first, and then go to an atelier, is my opinion. Get your mind going first. Don't do that kind of thing too soon, or it'll make you stagnant. Steve is your go-to example for a name, huh, Dan? Yeah, because I knew more Steves than anything else where I grew up. Steve is like my fallback name. One of my best friends' name is Steve. I was the best man at his wedding. Steve, if you're listening, I hope you're doing great. Tell Tina I said hi. I'm sorry your fish died.
oh.
Meaningful moment.
I need some like trailer for the stream. Right? It's got everything. It has heartfelt moments. It's like you doing that, and
Steve.
It's just like a crowd going like, "Oh,
I'm sorry your fish died." Oh.
Sorry I couldn't be there for you when you needed me."
I know. We'll bury it together.
I feel like if all of these streams were put together into like a giant film, it would be an amazing coming of age film.
Yeah. There you go.
And it's got to end with you just like, I'm doing it.
I will say in general, and I think most people would agree with this, if I'm wrong and I'm totally off base, be sure to tell me, but like, I will say an essential part of, not all art, but specifically illustration and concept art and stuff like that, an essential part of getting good at that is having a long period of experimentation and failure in terms of like, I want to do Warcraft, and then you just do like shitty orcs for 2 years, and then you're like, oh, what have I been doing? Fuck. And then like, you do nothing but dudes for a year, and you're like, oh, all I did was dudes this year. Jesus, what am I doing? Fuck. And just making those mistakes, and then supplementing it with information later and stuff like that. Like, I feel like that's something that everyone has in common when they become pro, is that there was a period of them not really knowing what to do and just kind of doing dumb shit. Like, I wouldn't be enjoying this as much as I have now if I didn't work for all the terrible jobs I did these past couple years. Like, only now am I kind of figuring out what you have to do. And, like, in terms of the atelier discussion, it's like, if you go there before you have that period, everything you do after that starts off with the same mentality where you're like, well, first I got to do the figure, and it has to be absolutely perfect. And, like, right off the bat, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Oh my god, this topaz tony's starting to come together. That shield.
You're gonna start working out the lines then to edges.
Yeah, the shield arm is all fucked up, but my god.
It shouldn't be too bad. You just got a gradient into them.
I know.
You could easily.
Like, it's probably not going to get more polished than like his helmet is right now. His helmet's probably going to be the standard for the crystals. Oh, this is so stupid. I love it. Dave, if you're watching, thanks for the paint over. It's helping tons.
Oh. I need more moments.
How his face is turned, you would see his other ear. You can't see either of his ears. What are you talking about? He's wearing a giant crystal helmet. Or are you talking about the tiger? I don't know. What are you talking about?
So save this, whatever, my
from Mahan's crit.
Stopped working, so I can't stream anymore.
Yeah, Sam can't stream because Procaster is too much.
It's transformed into a monster that loves eating my RAM.
It's unfortunate.
He said that really evilly.
It's unfortunate that I will
competitor out of the game.
I will destroy all live stream competition. Oh yeah, start up a live stream of your own. Yeah, I'll totally promote it. Send you viruses.
Yeah, you probably sent me a work in progress or something that had a virus that ruins progress.
Dude, check this thing out. It's got a really awesome reference resource. Just destroyed. Oh god.
Like, deletes all my files.
Oh, man. I was gonna make up a creative excuse, but fuck it. I really have to pee. I'm gonna go do that. I will be
I love
back.
it when that happens on live stream.
I'm gonna mute it after I pee. I mean, before I pee, sorry. And then unmute it when I get back. Because I have a really sensitive mic and I don't want you all to listen to me pee. So I'll be back. Oh, hey, I'm back.
Okay. I can confirm that this Komodo has a cigar in its mouth.
Boy. I didn't do a study yet today. I gotta think about what I want to study.
I got those busts.
Oh, did you?
Socrates and the anatomy one. Yeah, I've just been painting
They're
the anatomy
cool.
one like every day.
Yeah, they're cool. I might do a cat study. Let me go see if I can find something cool. Oh, wow. Trevor's entering this contest. Shit. That's hilarious. He's not judging it either, so I can't disqualify him.
Fuck. Oh, fuck. Get loads of professionals to start taking part in this just to make it really like against the point.
Just completely skew it in the wrong direction.
Okay, look at all this exposure we got. You guys really needed it, huh?
Oh, wow. The things I find on the internet. Searching for pumas, and there's just people in puma costumes. Okay. I love these monkeys. I'm gonna pull this onto the screen because I'm saving it to do a study of later. Look at these. It's fucking awesome. They look so cool.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So golden. Let's see. There's no such thing as saber-toothed tiger, so I can't really reference one. Should that thing be a tiger or a mountain lion? What do you guys think? It's kind of small to be a tiger, but it could be one.
Be so 80s to be a tiger.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Topaz tiger.
It's gotta
that's
be
the
a
thing.
tiger.
Might be a tiger. I'm gonna look it up.
But it needs stripes.
I know. Should make it like a white tiger.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, like, the most 80s thing ever.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. The stripes might be too much.
You could make them, like, fairly implied by having them on the paws.
Yeah, that's a good point. If I can find a good picture of like a mountain lion yelling the way I want it to, that's what I'm gonna use. Because that's what I wanted this to be. I had one yesterday, but it was super low resolution. Oh, wow. How did you even find that?
Oh,
No, I can't
jeez.
even do that.
That looks so hard.
Oh, God, how bad do I want this? How bad do I want this to be what it should be? God damn it.
That's like a pose would work as well.
God
You
fucking
could
damn it.
reference the shit out of that. Jeez.
No!
Nameless. You're so responsible for ruining Dan's life.
Oh my god. Fuck. I might have to. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it. I might do it. Fucking asshole. God damn it. If anyone's watching this on demand, we just pull it on the screen. Someone in the chat was a smart ass. Gave me this. Showed me what my animal should have been the whole time. Like a dick. Oh my god.
It's like, if it was a TV show, every time it's in a shot, it doesn't move, but it moves in between when it's not being seen.
What must a man do? What must a man do? I'd have to make up so much of it because it's not screaming.
That'll be so hard.
I know.
Excuse me. Ow.
I do want to do it, but I don't know if I can. It would take forever. I'd have to start over completely on the cat. Oh my god, it's insane looking though.
Yeah, that's a good point. You do have 9 days.
Oh, that's so
before
easy.
the one
So
14.
easy for you to say. Oh, you've got 9 days.
And you would have to rework the lighting on it.
Yeah. Good God. I'm looking for the ref I had yesterday and I can't find it.
I changed the subject.
No, it was the right position of the head. Even if I did the crystal one, I'd have to have this reference, and I can't find it. I can't find it. It's because, like an idiot, I didn't save it in my reference folder. And I don't know why. So now I'm live to the world, looking for reference, not even painting. I've failed you all. Partly metal, partly real, silver hawks. Hey Jacques, obviously I'm not reading the chat. You don't need to capitalize repeatedly. And I know what you're thinking, but Dan, didn't you reply to me because you just saw my capitals? No. I went over to move my canvas, and I happened to see it, and I went, "Oh, that sucks."
It's like being shouted at reading them.
I know. Hey! 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 Partly metal, partly real. Silver hawks. Mama, mask. Yeah, just so you guys know, I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm looking for a good reference to do a study of because I didn't do a study today. And got to do a study every day. What are you working on, Sam?
Commando.
Cool.
Commando of the universe. So cool. This is probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I figured.
In my life. My whole fucking lifetime. It's one of those things I'm gonna look back on.
I know. I'm gonna look back on it with pride.
Tell everyone you know.
Alright, I'm not going to do the crystal tiger for one reason. If I did a crystal anything, it would be a crystal lion, where the whole mane was a bunch of tiny crystals. I'm not saying I'm not doing that. I'm just saying if I do it, it's not going to be a tiger. It's going to be a lion. With a huge, stupid crystal mane. This one's not exact, but it could work. I'm going to pull this up. Looking for some more. If anyone's just joining us, I'm taking a short break to get some reference for a study. And, yeah. What time is it there, Sam?
It's 2:15.
Jeez.
I know, I'm crazy.
You should go to bed.
What's that?
I don't know. Me being tired of looking at pumas.
I don't know enough about graphics.
Come on,
That's what I'll be
man.
saying.
Come on, man.
Like, oh, I really need to make these letters pop.
Alright, I think it's going to be this one. The colors are a little off, but the form is there. I had one yesterday that was like perfect, but I guess it's just gone now. So, whatever. Mass crusaders working overtime, fighting crime. Secret
Fucking all the time.
raiders. Huh?
Just say fucking all the time.
Fucking all the time. Spectrum's got such supervision. My mask. Everyone to save the day. There's 100 people in here. They could be anybody. They could be anyone. I am just singing the Mask theme song. I know no fear. Guys, I'm not off my coffee high yet. I'm still freaking out. I'm just looking for a reference so I can fucking paint this study. Because it's study time. It's study time and I just can't find one. Can't find one. That crystal mountain line is bothering me. That crystal mountain line's still bothering me. What's up?
Just breaking all over, breaking the sweat.
I'm just pissed.
breaking tomato commando.
I'm just pissed that I had this reference and I didn't save it like an idiot. Just dead air. You're letting everyone down. You're letting everyone down, Dan. You're failing. Oh, God. Hey, Sam. I didn't search cougar yet, but I'm worried about the results. Do you think I should?
You're not going to get anything productive from it.
I think I should search cougar. Oh, Jesus.
It's lots of pictures of that woman who used to be in Friends.
Oh, wait, here's a good idea. I'm gonna bring some. I'm gonna study a mountain lion, but I'm gonna bring some elements of this cat into it because I like the way. I like how lame and 80s that looks. It looks so lame. People are like, just hurry up, Dan. We only came here for the crits. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa.
They're like, just hurry up and die so you can get your inheritance.
Just do the crits, you piece of shit. We hate you. Stop looking at cats. Cats.
That's how one of those songs would have said cats. Just throw in some syllables.
Cat. Cat. Stop looking at cat. Jeez. Well, I'm officially searching cougar.
So what kind of thing you want to tell people?
Good thing I'm doing it on my off monitor.
Secretly masturbating.
Hey, shut up!
People.
That's not what it is.
I am talk over it to disguise it.
I am not. I am not doing that. You are a liar. I have to go.
Oh, cougars.
Well, I'm just searching for ref, guys. I might as well get off live stream. I'll be back.
About 10 minutes.
The quickest way to kill a coffee high. Secret raiders working all the time. Fighting. Yeah, it's amazing how many pictures of women are actually on that search. It's ridiculous. It's not that.
Thought, eh?
It's not that ridiculous. I kind of expected it, but hey, I think I'm just gonna do a study of a cat and then open the mouth myself because I just can't find the photo I was gonna study. I had a photo to study and I can't find it, so I think I'm just gonna have to just study a regular one, I guess. I don't know. Fighting crime.
No.
I just feel bad for everybody listening to this right now. There's just no entertainment at all. Just, oh man, come on. Come
I'm like
on.
falling into a hole here. I realise it's getting late.
I'll be
You need to
fine.
bring it back.
I'll be fine once I get this fucking reference. I could print screen the thing I was referencing, I guess. I guess that's an option, but it seems like a lot of work. Let's try this. Oh, actually, that's a good idea. I was trying to find, it was a mountain lion.
This is the bit where you start going, this never happens.
Huh?
I swear. This is the bit where you just start making sex excuses. Like,
No, like, I'm
this
just,
has ever happened to me.
I'd rather get the right reference and take time finding it. That's pretty close. The values are kind of blown out, but that doesn't really matter. I'm studying structure. Yeah, I could use that. Yeah, I guess I'll just do this. I'll keep these other ones to reinforce the color. God, that crystal jaguar, Jesus. My God, just sets up such a precedent.
It's intimidating.
Okay. Let's see. Alright, so it's been about 2 hours. Sorry that last 10-15 minutes was a waste. I'm going to crop this and do a study of it. Crop it down to like this. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to stop the stream and come back on in like 30 seconds and do the studies. So, we'll be back.